Philippines court has acquitted Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Ressa in a final tax fraud case filed against her and the news site she founded, Rappler. Ressa was cleared on similar charges 9 months ago. She has long maintained that she and Rappler were targeted for their critical reporting on former President Rodrigo Duterte. Rappler closely followed Duterte's brutal crackdown on illegal drugs that left thousands dead. Duterte's divisive 6-year term ended last year. He was succeeded by Ferdinand Bong-Bong Marcos Jr, who has framed himself as a national unifier. And joining us now for more from Manila is Nobel Prize laureate and Rappler CEO Maria Ressa. Maria, a very big day for you. How are you feeling?
Great. Well, nervous last night, but this morning my co-founder and I were in the court and a relief. This is the last of the 5 tax evasion charges that I faced along with Rappler Holdings, and now it's gone. It took a long time, nearly 5 years, but now we've proven our innocence, that we've been acquitted.
And these were charges brought against you during the Rodrigo Duterte regime. Do you think you were essentially being targeted by the Duterte government?
I've long stated this is political harassment, an attempt to intimidate me and Rappler from doing our jobs as journalists, right? When you create a climate of fear, it goes beyond a chilling effect. It became Siberia, except we decided to push back. And because we did, I had 8 arrest warrants within 3 months in 2019. By the end of 2019, I had 10. So out of those 10 criminal charges, 8 are now gone. There are 2 left. One is the cyber libel case that's now at the Supreme Court. The second one is essentially been remanded back to the prosecutor. And then the big one still hanging over our heads is the Court of Appeals, the SEC decision that could essentially shut Rappler down at any time. So we continue to do our jobs, but at the same time, we're fighting for our lives.
Given the way these 5 tax evasion cases have gone and how you've been acquitted in all of them, are you hopeful that with the other 2 cases that are left, the online libel case that you are fighting and then the closure order against Rappler, that these will potentially also be dismissed and maybe they'll be ruled in your favor?
I've learned that nothing is for sure until it happens. But I think what we've seen under this new administration is a greater respect for press freedom. We've certainly been now allowed back into the palace. We've had pool duties. Our reporters can report, which is actually a great thing. And then we've seen the charges go away. It's just been slow. It's drained our resources, but we can continue doing our jobs. I suppose the short answer is really that, yes, I remain hopeful. It is still far from perfect, but rule of law, justice seems closer at hand.
You did call it a lifting of fear under the current regime of Ferdinand Marcos. Do you really mean that the press is freer now in the Philippines than under Rodrigo Duterte?
I think let's say that the bar was set so low that the media, the journalists were under such attack. Like I said, it was beyond a chilling effect. We were under Siberia. You had the largest television network in the Philippines, a newsroom I used to manage, 1,000 journalists strong, lost its franchise, right? That's like BBC losing its franchise. That's unthinkable. The last time that happened was in 1972. Little Rappler were only about 100 journalists strong. We've continued the fight. The phrase we use is we hold the line for our rights. And we're still here and we'll continue doing our jobs.
Interestingly, last year you had said that a win for Ferdinand Marcos Jr. would spur more disinformation, not just in the Philippines, but across the world when it comes to elections. Has that happened? Is there more disinformation now in the Philippines, for instance?
It's different in the Philippines today, right? The attacks against media online are more strategic. They're distributed denial of service attacks. That began around December 2021. And then there were toxic backlinks, SEO driving news organizations down in search. But, in terms of globally, we've certainly seen a rollback for news organizations all around the world, especially with the rollout of generative AI in November 2022. Will more disinformation come out during elections? That's what we're starting to see. That's the fear in the elections that are critical in 2024. 2024, according to our data, will really be a tipping point for democracy. You're going to have Taiwan in January, Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim population, in February. You're going to have perhaps the UK will have, Canada perhaps, and then the EU, and then of course the United States. If the patterns, if the trends don't change as they are, given the kind of corruption of our information ecosystem, when lies spread faster than facts on social media, and now you have large language models, generative AI, basically weaponizing, it looks like, our loneliness, well, we have no idea what to expect during these elections.
I'd like to come back to the Philippines and Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Is the current president of the Philippines an advocate for press freedom?
He says he is, and I hope he puts his words into action.
What measures do you think need to be taken in the Philippines to ensure that the press can do their job properly and that democracy is actually served?
Well, we've certainly seen an improvement. Let me just talk from Rappler's perspective. We went from being banned from the palace, our reporter, in January 2018, along with myself. I'm not even a reporter, but we were banned from the palace. And then every single reporter of Rappler through 2018 was banned from anywhere near President Duterte. All of that changed when Ferdinand Marcos became president. Again, Rappler had access. We were part of the pool at many times, being the pool reporter and the pool camera. That's the first. Access was there. I think the second thing, though, is that you still have attacks against journalists. You still have journalists in prison. Frenchie May Cumpio was 23 years old when I gave the lecture, the Nobel lecture in Oslo. She is still in prison. And of course, you have the main person who is the sample of President Duterte. In Tagalog, he says, sinasampulan. He used a political example. This is Senator Laila de Lima, former Senator Laila de Lima, who spent most of her term as senator in jail. She is now in her seventh year, starting her seventh year in prison. So there's still a lot to be done, but is it better than the last administration? Not even a question.
We'll leave it there for the time being. Thanks so much for joining us today, Maria Ressa.